Hey guys, I just want to jump on here real quick and share some world info update with you guys. So the first thing that's happening is Israel is ramping up airstrikes on Iranian forces and their proxies in Syria. And so the really important thing about this is, we're basically seeing just tensions rise all across the world right now, especially with Israel. And the thing is, you are getting closer and closer to the end when you start seeing more things happen with Israel, because Israel is God's like prophetic timeline of, basically showing how far we are to the end. And so when you start seeing Israel over and over again in the news, I mean, things are basically almost coming to the end when you start seeing all these things happen. So just keep your eye on Israel, because they are really the timepiece for, prophecy, because everything about everything about prophecy has everything to do around the nation of Israel right now. And so right now, also, you have tensions are rising between China and the United States. So, the United States, it was not too long ago, but they ordered the closure of Chinese consulate in Houston. And so, because of this, China is now threatening retaliation for this. So, we just see, tensions are rising again, like I said before, just in the world with everything happening. And the thing about this is that there must be like an increase in tensions and problems in the world before the Antichrist gets here, because the Antichrist can't just walk into a world that doesn't have chaos. He is supposed to have answers, and he has to come into a world full of chaos so he can bring those answers to, all the problems we have in the world right now. And right now, this is another big thing that came out recently. China is now announcing that they are for the Palestinians. Right now, you have a bunch of countries, pretty much every country except the United States is against Israel. And this is really important, as there is a war talked about in Ezekiel 38 and 39. And so the importance of this is that in Ezekiel 38 and 39, that war is that it talks about basically no one comes and helps Israel. And so that's why, everyone thinks that something has to happen to America, because, we really aren't mentioned in Bible prophecy, and we are the only nation that's helping Israel. And so we can't be here to help Israel. There has to be something that basically stops us so that we can't help them. And right now, I truly believe that we are seeing, the start of America falling, just with everything that is currently happening. And so the war in Ezekiel basically says, there are certain nations that rise against Israel, and God himself will step in and intervene in that war, and no other nation will help, because God wants Israel to know that it was because of God that they won the victory. And, for that to happen, we need to see Israel become more and more isolated, which is happening right now. Basically, Israel is becoming basically isolated from the whole world, which is exactly what must happen for that war to take place. And then another thing that's been happening is many explosions have been happening in Iran. So there's been explosions happening all over Iran. And the Iranian, basically the special forces, they haven't announced who it was that has been doing the explosions, but many people believe that it is, and I believe myself, that it is the United States and Israel working together. And so, as you can see, we are already seeing tensions. Like I've been saying, they just keep escalating and escalating, and then it's gonna get to that point where it's just the boiling point, where it just needs one more thing to happen, which I truly believe the last thing that could happen, like the last ingredient, could be the rapture, and that would set the world in full chaos mode. And then, so basically, Iran, the important thing with Iran, all this stuff happening, is they are one of the countries that will attack Israel in that the Ezekiel war I was talking about. And so things are just ramping up between those countries. And also, in the United States, Trump is now sending federal troops to Portland, and he is also in talks of doing this in Chicago as well. And because of this, I mean, there's just a bunch of backlash, and, just again, the United States, we are seeing, division. And Jesus talks about if a house is divided against itself, it will not stand. And right now, the United States, we are very divided right now. And if we keep going down this path, we will not be here, which is exactly what I think. I mean, the thing is, I know people don't like to hear this, but I truly believe that I think the United States is too far gone. I just don't see how we can come back from everything. There's just so much division. There's so much, the moral values of our country are so low. And it's just, I don't know, I truly don't see how we can come back from, the stage we are in right now. And then another thing that's happening is locust swarms are happening all over the world right now. They are devastating locust swarms. I know there was an article that Europe put up where it said, it could be like the worst devastation they've had in 70 years. And this is just, there's just chaos happening in the world right now, and it's setting up the perfect storm for the Antichrist to come in. I mean, because there's many countries that this locust swarm is hitting, and it's just, destroying all the crops, just all their fields. And there are also talks that, the swarms will be coming to the United States, and if that happens, we will see a lot of devastation here. But I think that's going to wrap it up for this video, guys. Like I said in the beginning, I just wanted to jump on here real quick and, share some world information with you and, some like Bible prophecy updates. Well, I'll see you in our next video. Thank you guys so much for watching. And as always, if you have any prayer requests, please leave them down below in the comments section and we will make sure to get back with you on that. Alright, see you in our next video.